Well, thousands of high school students in the metro area are home today and tomorrow. In-class instruction has been suspended after a slew of new COVID cases. Earlier in the show, Cease Hare spoke with two high school students who are happy about the decision, but say it needs to go a step further. They say COVID restrictions go out the window when you step inside the school. Here's more of that conversation.
I still don't feel that 2 days is enough to, for the incubation period of COVID-19 is 14 days. So if someone got exposed to the virus from infected people yesterday, they will still carry the virus to and from school.
My friend group was very uncomfortable with the idea of going back to school because we had been responsible in following COVID guidelines all along. There was many peers of ours and classmates and people from other schools interacting with our school who were, completely off the rails with how they were reacting to the guidelines. And instead of, keeping your contacts small, and they're not asking you to not have contact with anybody, but, going to parties with 100 people is a bit extreme right now. The problem lies when there's mass socialization, during a global pandemic where people are spreading the virus back and forth. And it's not worth bringing it home to our families when we could be doing online school.
I don't know about you, but I have people in my classes who don't wear their mask properly. I wear my mask over the nose, over the mouth, every single day, 6 hours a day. But there are people who don't wear their mask, they keep their nose out, or they put it around their chin. And frankly, I don't feel safe going to school in a crowded classroom of 35 students. I don't feel safe not being properly socially distanced within those circumstances. And
where social distancing isn't possible, they shouldn't, expose us to that. Because just say you went to, the doctor, you're forced to be 6 feet apart from everyone, or you're forced to, if you're at, Costco or something, they have markings on the floor. But, at school, as soon as you walk in there, it just, slips out the back door.
The only place where, there's social distancing markers is to the entrances to the washrooms.
Yeah.
It says, stand here if there's a line.
They haven't been used once.
I've never seen them used once. It's just a mob of people in the washroom. I think it was smart of them to close the high schools, but I feel like everything should be closed for a 14-day period. Just to make sure. At minimum. Because we want to see if anyone has come in contact with the virus, if anyone, will test positive, will test negative.
Yeah, I don't think that's an unreasonable ask to be protected whatsoever.
We just want to be safe.
Joining me now is the head of the Newfoundland and Labrador Teachers Association, Dean Ingram. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
Based on the information that we have and the spike in the number of cases, do you think that all of the schools should close?
Well, when we hear the increased numbers such as we did, it's concerning for everyone. It's concerning for parents, it's concerning for students, and it's certainly concerning for our members and everyone who works in the school system. That being said, Dr. Fitzgerald made reference to the concept of a 2-week circuit breaker. And I think there's a question that has to be asked, is that how effective can this 2-week circuit breaker be that Dr. Fitzgerald announced to close our gyms, to close our bars, all kinds of public and private venues if we're leaving all of our schools open? The reality is we know that our schools are where communities come together. Every workplace, every family, every community group, every aspect of the greater community comes together through our schools. We know that the schools throughout the metro area, from K to 6, K to 9, our high schools are all interconnected in so many different ways. So if the intent is to have a circuit breaker to basically provide a break to allow this outbreak to be contained, how effective can that circuit breaker be if we're leaving the primary place where our community come together open?
How much interaction is there between different schools and the different students at the different schools, even just in the last week with sports and group activities, that sort of thing?
There's a whole host of ways that schools interact, from having siblings in different schools to having community groups, be it a sports team. Hockey NL made a decision to cancel all activities east of Claremont for this reason. We know that students interact with their peers on a daily basis, both within and outside the school. This is one of the reasons why I would suggest that the decision is made to close all high schools. But the question becomes, if we're leaving a significant portion of our school communities open, can the circuit breaker be effective? I find it interesting that every time a rise in cases occurs, we see tightening of public health measures everywhere except in our schools. We've been raising these concerns since July, that with the communities coming together through our schools, why is it that we have differential measures in our schools and everywhere else? I know that we protect our schools by protecting our community. I'd argue that we protect our communities by protecting our schools.
We've heard that some parents are keeping their children home out of fear. Do you know of any teachers who are staying home for the same reason?
Well, I wouldn't know specifically if that's the reason, but I do know that teachers are parents as well. Teachers have their own students. And yes, I've received outreach for a number of teachers. In fact, I'm just glancing at my email list here now, and I've received well in excess of 20 emails in the past 2 hours since the press conference this afternoon from teachers concerned about what they're going to do with this dynamic. Teachers are legitimately concerned. I've had reports that attendance in our Metro St. John schools throughout was very low today, including those schools that remained open, and I'm not surprised. It's a pattern we've seen in every part of the province, be it Deer Lake, be it the Stephenville community, be it the Harbour-Breton community, that parents are anxious and they see the discrepancy in measures in our schools and in other public venues, and they are concerned. And out of abundance of caution, a term we've heard used on several occasions, for their own children, parents are choosing to keep their children home. And I'm not surprised. Teachers are torn as well.
Okay, Dean Ingram, we'll all be waiting to see what happens next. Thank you so much for being here.
Kindly welcome. My pleasure.